Praise be, and this show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
When life gets hard, talking to someone can help, whether it's venting, processing, or getting tools to deal with stress. Visit BetterHelp.com/outside and lighten the load. And welcome to...
Podcast But Outside, episode 156. This is the intro. Happy August 10th, which means it's the perfect time of year to release the episode we filmed during Easter.
Yes, we record this on Easter Sunday at a church. We already released one church episode to record that day, but we doubled up on church. We tried to do both churches just in case one of them was going to go to hell.
It's called a God binge.
Yeah, well, no, it's just hedging your bets. You pretty much pray to every God possible, and then if you do end up dying, you'll probably be right for one of them. It was great. We spent a lot of this episode talking to the pastor of the church, which was so cool to just get that perspective. It was a really interesting conversation and a lot of fun. Thank you for buying tickets to our live tour. We appreciate it. We're going on tour. Next week we'll be in Minneapolis. That show is almost sold out, so buy tickets to that if you want to come. Then after that, in September, we're going to Toronto, Orlando, New York, Boston, Chicago, and then Honolulu in November. Some of those shows are close to selling out.
What?
Honolulu, it's in Hawaii.
Okay.
Toronto specifically has not that many tickets left. Please buy tickets to the shows. We're going to announce some very big special guests for the show in New York and in LA. So the tickets will sell out as soon as we do that. So if you want to come to that show and you're a fan of ours, buy tickets sooner rather than later. It helps us a lot.
Yeah.
And then you get them. What face are you doing? You look hot.
Oh, I was thinking. We need help, right?
With what?
We need help coming up with a name.
Oh, right. For our live show. Yeah, we're wanting to kind of brand the live show in a way that is not a live podcast, because that's not what it is. It's a completely different experience. You don't have to know anything about us to enjoy it. It's like, so if you think of a name for what our live show is, if you've been to a show, and if you've been to a show in the past, come to a show in the future. It's different every time. We're going to do all different stuff, all different guests, of course.
Yeah, please comment below.
Yeah.
Like, we're thinking something along the lines of, like, what do we have? 15
minutes of fame, or like
featuring a stranger.
Or like...
None of those are good, though.
Or like the stranger interview show with two hunks who are going to rock your world.
If you come up with the name that we end up using, you will get guaranteed tickets to our live shows for life.
That's actually a good point. We could do that. Yeah.
+1.
Yeah.
Theme song this week is by...
Alec Doyle. Thank you, Alec. This is the first time he has ever written or recorded a full song, and it's very, very good.
So what?
Thanks for buying tickets. Thanks for watching our show. Tell a friend about all that crap. And, yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna go to sleep now.
Oh, night.
Good night. Enjoy the episode.
Podcast but outside.
What is it?
It's like two nice white dudes on the side of the street, and they like interviewing every human they meet.
Cool.
Yeah, Cole, Hirsch, Andrew, Marshawn, they get along with pretty much everyone that hops on Marshawn's long hair is flowing and Cole's mustache is growing. Together they keep the spontaneous conversation going. They'll give you their errant attention in a quick session and questions. Every guest is respected except for when they're sexist. Not to mention these mentions will make you chuckle and snicker. To thank you for the confessions with a buck and a sticker. In a studio environment you'll find them in, not these guys, cause it's a podcast.
But outside.
Hello. And welcome to Godcast but outside. Godcast but outside. We are the world's first Godcast. That's actually a good idea, Godcast. But to be honest, we're the world's first podcast. It's Podcast But Outside. If you've never heard or watched our show before, the whole point of the show is for the two of us to set up this table on the sidewalk and interview strangers who happen to be wandering by our table. We have a sign on our table that says,
Hi, please be a guest on our podcast.
"No, please." Let's say please. Doesn't say please.
Hi, be a guest on our podcast. We will pay you $1 smiley face.
We're the only ethical podcast, the only podcast that pays its guests. And the only podcast doing a podcast today on Easter Sunday. That's an egg. Okay, egg. Hey, don't hit the egg. Hey, how are ya? Nice to see ya.
You ever hit an egg?
You want to say hi? All right. See you later. Hey, my name is Andrew Mashon. I host the show, and
My name is Hanukkah Chunky.
and Hanukkah Chunky hosts a show with me. We're here in Atwater Village at a nice little church called Christchurch, Los Angeles at Griffith Park. I thought that was New Zealand, Christchurch. Turns out it's actually church. Something there, right?
Mm-hmm. You never went to church growing up, did you?
I went to Church of the Devil.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was pretty cool. I got poked with hot sticks. My dick got stretched out over coals. It was kind of nice.
Huh.
Yeah. So you know how some kids get circumcised?
Yeah.
My dick just got stretched out over coals.
So that's why it looks like fried calamari.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's why I can't order calamari at a restaurant either, because...
Reminds you of your dick.
No, because people accidentally eat my dick.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's like... Because they are like, I think I ordered this, and they just start tearing at it.
Uh-huh. I'd like to think all the, like, religious people on YouTube click this because they're like, finally, some content for me. And then it's us talking about burning our dicks over hot coals.
Well, no, but that's just the Church of Satan. That's just what I did. I don't know. It's not... I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Right.
And look, by the way, I rejected my faith. I'm no longer part of the Church of Satan.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I turned my back on it hardcore.
I've actually never been in a church.
You know, when I was in college, you know what church I did, actually, to be honest?
What?
I did a thing called skate church.
Is that a real thing?
Yes. So I went to college in Portland, Oregon, and the thing about Portland is that it rains constantly.
Uh-huh.
And there weren't really any indoor skate parks. So in the winter, when it would rain for 7 months at a time, it was very difficult to skateboard.
Uh-huh.
But there was there were 2 indoor skate parks in town. One was this place that was expensive, and they had certain sessions and whatever. And the other was skate church, and it was free, and it was at a church, and you had to show up, and you had to watch the sermon. You had to watch the sermon, and if you watched the full sermon, then you could skate for an hour.
Huh.
And if you missed the sermon, you couldn't shred, is what they said. But it was a really good skate park. But they're just realizing, like, oh, the way to hook kids is to, like, give them something they like skateboarding. Bribe them and be like, you have to listen to the sermon. And they were, they were these cool young pastors who had tattoos. And they're like, look, Jesus drops in on a half pipe too, guys. Like, sometimes Jesus does a kickflip, it doesn't quite work out. Like, they were just, like, kind of talking about all that. I mean, that's a thing. That's like, we were talking about this right before we were setting up. But, like, like Justin Bieber maybe doesn't fit the mold of, like, what Christianity is really about in certain ways, maybe his actions in the past or whatever. But because he's like a super celebrity influencer, there are churches that are like, oh yeah, we got Justin Bieber on our side. Yeah, like he's going to convert tons of people to be Christians. Because for a lot of Christians, like it's just a game of just like winning as many souls as possible,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I am actually pretty anti-religion, but whatever. I mean, that's like what mission is. That's what being a missionary is,
Right.
I mean, that like some of the devious parts of religion is like going around the world to like countries that don't have Christianity, like in Asia and Africa.
Or that guy who tried to go to that island to be a missionary.
Right. And
they killed him.
They killed him. Well, they're like, well, you go to these, you go to a country that is super less developed and you seem very powerful with your money and technology, and you say, oh, have you guys heard? You're actually all going to go to hell, actually. Hell's really bad. And
yeah, it's pretty manipulative.
It's super manipulative. And then they're kind of like, okay, well, you seem smart and have your shit together, so all right, I guess I'm going to follow what you're saying. And I tried to do it. I was a missionary when I was a kid, but that just involved going to, third world countries and taking their kids and putting their dicks on the coals. So they didn't really work because they're like, why would we follow this? This just sucks. And I'm like, you're telling me, look at my calamari I got down there.
Got any marinara?
Yeah, sometimes you just got to get some marinara.
Hello.
Is this a Bible?
Bible?
Oh, no. You want to sit down and say hi? We just interview people.
Okay. What you guys interviewing about?
Anything. It's whatever you'd like to bring to the table. We're here on Easter Sunday. We could talk about the service you just saw. We could talk about things you like to do for fun. We could talk about travel.
I wish I could. We have to be out of here.
No worries.
I wish you guys best of luck with
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
take
you.
care. Yeah, no worries. Have a great day, man. Yeah, see you later.
One. Brought his own Bible.
There's certain people where they ask what you're going to talk about, and then they always say no matter what you say. Is there ever anything we could have said that would have worked?
Maybe I could have said, like, I'm being possessed and I need you to save me.
What if I could have said, we're both kind of God curious.
We're God curious. We're on the fence.
We're on the fence, and we were just looking for like a young hunk
to push us over.
To push us into true believers. Oh my God, look at that woman.
Oh, that's a creepy, oh God, that is terrifying. It's like a horror movie. What the heck?
For the listeners, there's basically a witch in the backseat of that car.
It looked like the Babadook. Like, not her face wasn't scary. It was the way she was looking at us. It was the way she was positioned.
Well, I think it looked like her body was
gone.
actually facing this way in the car. Like, it wasn't just her head looking. It was like they reconfigured the seat to face sideways in the back of the car.
Did you catch it on
Did
film?
you get it?
Dude, she looked me in my eyes. I got scared.
Cam got scared.
He said she looked me in my eyes and I got scared.
She really was like the Babadook.
She was penetrating my soul.
She was in the bottom corner of it. That's
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah. She was in the lower third of the window.
I mean, we might need that little kid we might need that Christian kid with the Bible to come exorcise that woman
Yeah.
back to hell. That woman's got to go straight to the depths.
I didn't know you guys were like out here in LA or something.
Yeah, you want to say
we're
hi?
in LA.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're in LA. You didn't know? I think this summer it's time for you to take your summer to the next level with Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup of must-have box of awesome collections. Cole, you got something you wanted to show me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Check this out. Bespoke Post sent me this. It's the slash. Take this off.
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
I don't see.
It's a big sword. It's a
machete, I guess.
machete.
I
I
guess
got a freaking machete.
It's made by Bare Bones, which is based in Salt Lake City. You know that?
Yep.
Bespoke Post partners with small businesses and emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every month. No matter what you have going on this season, Box of Awesome has you covered from camping gear essentials to beach day and travel must-have. Box of Awesome has everything you need for summer. They sent us stuff. I love all the stuff. Did you just slice the table?
Yeah.
That's not okay. No. They sent us a hammock that we were going to set up in the yard. That's really exciting. They sent us a cooler to keep everything in our life cool.
I actually used it on a shoot yesterday. It was perfect.
The cooler?
Uh-huh.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
cool.
Great. It kept everything cold in my hot car for 6 hours.
Each box is valued at around $70, but you only pay a fraction of that price. You can take the quiz, find out the right box of awesome for you, or just look at all the stuff they have. They release a ton of boxes every month across different categories. It's a great gift for someone. Get someone a box of awesome subscription. Every month, they'll get an amazing gift from you, curated by either you or by the box of awesome quiz. They're quality stuff. It's stuff that I would have bought anyway that I'm getting at a discount from Box of Awesome. They work with really cool brands. Check it out and sign up today. And you can get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code OUTSIDE at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code OUTSIDE for 20% off your first box. Boxofawesome.com, code OUTSIDE. It's free to sign up and you can skip a month at any time. Check it out, everyone. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy. It's affordable, fun, and it's America's number one meal kit. HelloFresh has foolproof step-by-step recipes, which mean a joyful cooking experience and a stress-free summer. Plus, HelloFresh cuts back on time spent in the kitchen with meals ready in around 30 minutes or less.
HelloFresh is 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant and is even cheaper than grocery shopping. It's also closer than a grocery store.
Yeah, and that's money back in your pocket when you do HelloFresh. You cooked something recently, right?
That's right. I cooked with my mommy and daddy. We made delicious, delicious food.
You gonna show a picture?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
We made squash and caramelized onion flatbread. I felt like I was in frickin' Italy.com. It came with thyme ricotta and a balsamic drizzle.
I cooked a Middle Eastern chickpea bowl with savory pistachio rice and garlicky white sauce. It was so good. And it was something I would have never cooked on my own, but HelloFresh told me how to do it really, really easily. And it filled me up. I actually had the leftovers today for lunch because I'm actually fully alone. And it was a meal for two. And it was just me. So go to HelloFresh.com/outside16 and use code OUTSIDE16 for 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/outside16 and use code OUTSIDE16 for 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. You don't have to have a partner. You can be alone and do it still. It's not as good, though. America's number one meal kit. Number one, like solo.
Thanks, HelloFresh.
Thank you. Oh, cool. Awesome. Wait, were you driving by and just parked?
No, I'm actually here for church.
Oh, you're here for church. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's why we're here. But are you familiar with us? Have you seen us before online?
I have. I've seen you guys on TikTok
Oh,
and
cool.
on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
So I'm very familiar with it.
What's your name?
My name's Jacob.
Jacob. I'm Andrew.
pleasure.
This is Cole.
Pleasure, guys.
We are just here to set up. We've always wanted to set up in front of a church.
Yeah, right on.
And we're here on Easter Sunday. We thought, there'll be people hanging out, so
Cool.
we're just setting up.
Right on.
How was your service? How long were you there for?
We're actually getting set up right now. So we're kind of an afternoon service. We start at 2:30.
Oh, really?
We're just getting set up early right now. We got a bunch of stuff. So I helped set up like a lot of AV stuff in the back and stuff like that. So yeah.
So how long have you been working with this church?
With our church, I actually grew up in it. So I've been around.
Oh my gosh.
So it's actually I wouldn't say family run, but my family takes a big part in it.
Okay.
And is it just this church specifically, or does Christchurch have a bunch of locations?
Christchurch, we just rent out the building.
Oh,
we used to
okay.
actually have a building out in what was it? By Hollenbeck Park off of St. Louis and Boyle Heights area.
Okay,
yeah.
Boyle Heights.
So not too far from here. So.
But then this is the place that you spend your time now.
Yeah, this is where we're
the
meeting
church
now, and this is where our church meets. Our church is called Faith Calvary Baptist Church.
Okay.
We've been around for well over 20, maybe 30 years or something like that. So.
Well, interesting. So you're not Christchurch.
No.
You rent out the space from
That is correct.
Christchurch.
That is correct.
Interesting.
I
But
believe-
Christchurch had a service earlier.
Yeah, I believe they're the actual Christchurch. I know they've been not going through things, but a new church moved in, and I think they
Switching
took
things up.
they took ownership of that.
Switching
So.
things up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool. And so you're pretty close with everyone involved in your side of things on the
Yeah,
church.
of course.
cool.
My brothers and I are part of the praise team. My brother's also a pastor for the church. He's our
Wow.
senior pastor.
Wait, what's a praise team? What's
So a praise team, essentially, there's different attributes or different parts of a service. So our design or the way our service goes, right?
Mhm.
We'll typically start out with our morning announcements, or afternoon, I guess you could say
Yeah,
that.
you're a little.
Of course. And we go into singing songs of worship and praise to God, you know? And that's what we do. Initially, if we have a couple songs or 3 songs that we sing in the beginning, and then once we finish our set, we'll go into our scripture reading. Basically, that gives our overview of the service and what the sermon's going to be about.
Do you
Kinda
mix
ties
up the
into that.
songs, or is it the same 3 every week?
No, we have different songs
Okay.
to choose from a couple different artists. Really comes down to either what the message is, and it's really nice to have my brother as a pastor. So all of us, there's 4 boys, and we kind of just tie into a group together and see what songs can tie into what he's preaching about, you know, or what the message is about. So that really ties in really well.
Do you sing?
Me, I try not to. Do I? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you're part of the singing choir, but you don't think it's your talent?
Yeah. It's
You kind of mouth the words sometimes.
Yeah, I'll sing in the back. I
Okay.
prefer to be in the back. I guess I get a little stage fright, but
Sure,
I'm more of our drummer. I'm a drummer. For
Oh,
the
you
church.
drum?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And what type of folks come to your service?
So we're predominantly a Filipino group.
Okay.
So that's what mainly makes up some of our church, or most of our church, I guess you could say.
How predominantly Christian is the Philippines as a country?
It's actually quite diverse.
Okay.
I know that a lot of my friends, or even back home,
Mhm.
when I went to the Philippines, is a lot of the family members or older generations Filipinos are predominantly Catholic.
Okay.
They're raised Catholic.
And are they Catholic because missionaries came over at a certain point and converted a bunch of people, or how does that work? Like, how did it sprout up in the Philippines? And you might not know the answer to this, but I'm curious if you do.
I know back in the day that church were planted there, and I think that is from not early settlers, but like people that have come over to the Philippines. I think that really stems a lot from the Spaniard influence, or you know, if you've ever heard a lot of the Spain taking it over or invading the Philippines, I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
Interesting.
And so,
Is there traditional religion in the Philippines as well that was like kind of?
I'm sure there is, but I think the Catholicism really took over quite a bit. So,
Did you connect with the Philippines when you went for the first time?
Yeah,
Having
actually,
been raised here.
yeah. So I was born and raised here. We actually took a missions trip out in 2010.
Oh.
So we went out there and helped out a couple schools and stuff like that. We had a lot of the Filipino word is baon, but it's kind of like a snack or something like that. But it's more, we have like little like offerings or little gifts for the kids. We went to a bunch of schools and stuff like that. My grandpa and my brother gave sermons. My dad was preaching. My mom was teaching the kids.
Preaching and teaching.
Exactly.
Teaching.
Exactly.
Okay, so you were born into like a pretty religious family.
Yeah,
I
100%.
bet.
100%.
Are you friends with anyone who's not religious?
I am. I have a handful of friends, and there are many that I have brought up the situation to. It's really hard to nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
In today's what can I say, political climate, I guess you could say, that really takes a big toll or a big influence as to the responses or how they take things, you know? And most of it really comes down to faith
When you were, deciding whether it was for you, what was the most alluring thing to sort of draw you away from religion? Was there a thing that was like, ooh, I want to do blank, or I want to be like blank, but I can't because it goes against my faith?
One thing in particular is like really heavily drinking or like partying or like I guess smoking. I mean, like if you can do it, do your own thing, you know. But for me, that's just something I'll never partake of.
And looking at Christianity, and obviously there's so many different types of Christianity, but like we did an episode earlier today at a different church, and we talked to a guy who's like really into weed, but he goes to church, and he was like kind of incorporating it into his life in different ways. And I'm not saying either way is correct, but for you and the way you were raised, it's like those are butting up against each other.
Yeah, heavily.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a Filipino thing, or is that a Baptist thing? Or?
Nah. It's within the word, you know. It's written in the scripture. I guess one great example is to be drunk with wine, you know. There's a lot of things, but there are also a lot of things that people can take out of context and
make
use
it work for them.
Exactly.
So do you spend time with friends when they are drinking, or do you just be like, I'm gonna go home?
I typically try not to put myself near that situation at all.
I mean, I don't drink personally, and it's very annoying to be around people who do. They turn into very annoying versions of themselves.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories, you know, and it's,
but have you been around drunk people or not even?
I have.
Okay,
I have. I definitely have. It's. I mean, honestly, you can see there are many reasons why people drink, and for me, I always found this thought of not to drink out my sorrows or something when I can always come back to God and ask him for wisdom or reassurance that I don't not necessarily need those things, but I can find refuge in him.
How does that help come to you? When you ask for help, how do you receive it?
It could be something as simple as having a great day or something good happening to you that you would never expected. Some way, somehow, I just feel like the Holy Spirit's working inside of me to make these decisions and really go after it, you know?
So it's almost like trust your instinct, but your instinct is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's cool. I like that. That's a good perspective.
If the Holy Spirit or God came to you and in human form and said, let's get wasted, bro.
Might be the devil, though.
Yeah, that would definitely not be him.
No. You knew it was God. It was for sure God.
Let's get wasted.
I'm gonna have to argue on that one because, like, I know that would never be God. Like,
but it is.
Then
it is. He's like, look, I got one night on Earth. I want to get a little crazy. You seem cool.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I would say you should stay true to your own word.
You know?
Well, that's what's so interesting is there's a lot of examples in the Bible of God testing people.
There are.
So you might think, like, at what point is he like, look, I'm not testing you. This isn't a test.
This isn't a test.
I promise you, I just need to get a little wasted tonight.
Yeah, I would say, who are you and what have you done with God?
Right.
That's what I would say.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's...
Okay, it happens during daylight savings time. He's like, this hour disappears. It doesn't exist in the timeline.
It's at 2 a.m. on a Sunday?
It's 2 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You already went to church this morning.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't get drunk with your boy God?
Nah.
Okay.
All right. I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
If I had the power invested in me, I'd be like, hey, yo, dog, what you doing? you ain't saying true, homie. What happened?
You're going to sit him down.
Yeah.
You're going to show him his own word.
Yeah, I would have to say, as simple as taking your own advice, but honestly, you wrote it down here.
Right.
But he's like, oh, that was the old me.
Yeah.
I'm moving on. I went to therapy. I'm really into drinking now.
Yeah.
The therapist is like, you should start drinking a lot. That's not a good therapist.
I wonder who God's therapist is, you know?
That's an interesting, that's a good question because it is so hard to just be a being with thoughts.
Yeah.
And he must have thoughts. Who does he talk to when he needs to lean on someone?
Himself. He doesn't need anybody else.
That's tough, though, no?
That's gonna be so
It's got to
lonely.
weigh on you. It's lonely. It's lonely at the top. That's what they say.
I mean,
It's interesting.
if that's the case, and with the people that God has made perfect in our image, and when we're in heaven and we are in our best form, he has his angels, he has his people, he has everything out there. So I don't see why it would be lonely at all, you know?
Let's say you die. Hopefully that never happens.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you do. You wind up in heaven. You see God. Pearly gates. He goes, how about now, bro?
I would call the council. I'd call the angels, and I'd have a sit down talk with him and be like,
on his own
what kind
turf,
of test is this?
in the kingdom of heaven.
In the kingdom of heaven.
Wow, you'll have an intervention for him.
Yeah.
Holy crap, you're devoted, and you're already dead. Like you're already in heaven. Your soul's already there. You don't want to get drunk in heaven,
man. We're in our best form. Why can't he?
Okay.
What's going on with there?
Okay.
Speaking of my question, best form.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
say you die. Let's say you die at 100 years old.
Yeah.
You get to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking like up there? Are you looking like you look now? Are you looking like you did when you were 10?
Yeah, what's
50?
your best form?
What's your best form?
That's something we'll find out when we get there.
Or
Okay.
okay, you don't even want to think about it.
I mean,
Or
my best form.
is form more amorphous? Is it energy? You know, like
We're not a bunch of amoebas or something like that.
Right. We're more advanced than that.
Okay, and what do you do for fun?
For fun, I'm a detailer.
A detailer.
Yeah. That's what
For
I do
cars?
for fun.
But the devil's in the details.
Yeah, he puts all the scratches on your cars and stuff.
So you're fixing it.
Exactly,
You
doing
do
God's
that-
work.
Well, you do that for fun or for work?
For both, really.
Really?
I'm more of our facility manager at my couple locations that we're at, but on my spare time, I wash my car or I'll polish it and stuff like that.
You a car
know?
guy?
Yeah.
What's your whip?
I got a NB Miata I'm trying to sell.
You're trying to sell a Miata?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to sell it?
I'm trying to upgrade something new, man. Trying to see what I can get.
I've heard those are fun though, right?
Yeah, definitely a track monster. Love it. A little underpowered, but I mean, it's fun. It's a go-kart
Yeah.
on the track, man. Tell you what.
Is it a convertible?
Yeah. All of them come convertible. Some have hard tops.
Oh,
but,
there's a convertible right there.
Yeah.
Do you take that top off a lot?
Oh yeah, quite a bit, especially when the
When the
sun's
rain's
out like this.
Yeah.
Oh, during the rain? Heck
When
yeah,
the rain's
dude.
pouring down?
100%. Got my raincoat and everything on.
Are you in a relationship?
No, not right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Do you want to be?
Yeah, I'm working on something right now. So
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
What stage are you at?
it's pretty rocky right now.
Rocky?
Rocky.
Yeah.
Why?
And it hasn't even started and it's rocky?
Nah, it's been on and off.
Oh, it's
kind
on
of
and
deal,
off kind
so,
of deal.
I mean,
Okay, yeah.
low key trying to fly out to Texas. I hope
Ooh.
go surprise her or something like that.
Okay.
Hopefully she doesn't see this if you guys post it pretty soon.
It won't be
Right.
coming out soon now.
Okay, for sure. But
And hopefully she's in Texas.
Yeah, do you know she's there?
no, 100%.
Okay.
100%. Yeah. I know where she's at.
You're like I flew to Indiana last week, didn't work out.
Yeah.
Let's try Texas
No,
now.
I just fly into DFW and I'm like, where you at? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I got a little
Was she
surprise.
from here or what?
No, she's originally from Texas. She moved out to Cali last year and then she moved back home because it's just too much out here for rent, you know?
And pandemic, it was a weird time
It
to
was
be here.
pretty rough, man.
So you connect with her out here?
Yeah, 100%.
And do you think she's interested? Is the long distance a difficult part of it?
Yes and no.
Where's her head at right now?
Knowing her, basically, she just really wants somebody that's 100% there for her emotionally. That's a piece of the puzzle that I struggle on.
Oh,
So, and that's why it's really rocky.
why is it?
Why do you
str-
think
yeah.
you struggle with that?
I guess me being on autopilot a whole lot because I'm really
Mm.
busy sometimes.
So did you kind of take her for granted a little bit?
Unfortunately, I would have to say yeah.
But that's pretty huge of you to acknowledge that you're not emotionally 100% there.
Have you admitted that to her?
Yeah, I have. I've said it before. One thing I got to do is just reassure her a whole lot, you know? But
Gotta say, I'm worried for you selling your Miata, by the way, because you said you don't know what you got till it's gone.
oh, nah, that's
And
cool though.
I don't know, man. I fear you might miss that red beast.
I know, man. Low key, I had a whole bunch of other plans for it and stuff like that. Maybe I sell it, maybe I don't.
Okay.
It's
You're
not
open.
like I'm open to offers. If the price is right, then yeah, it's good to go.
So are you planning to go to Texas and not tell her?
I haven't thought about that yet. I was thinking about surprising her with it.
Interesting.
But,
if things are rocky, that might not go well.
But that might be showing instead of telling.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
It's a
tough.
50-50
It's
chance.
tough
It's
to know.
50-50 chance.
It's tough to know. Okay. She religious?
Yeah.
How'd you meet her?
Car friends, car group.
Car.
group. Oh,
Did
she's
she-
a car freak too.
Yeah,
Does she have a cool car?
She actually just she had a TSX, a manual. So my girl drives, or not my girl, but
Your
she drives
complicated
manual.
situation.
Yeah. She drives a manual car, and
I used to.
She just bought a Audi S4 right now, or
Oh.
like last week. So it's
Damn.
pretty hype.
What
Pretty
year?
hype. 2018. Yeah.
What do you think about Teslas?
Okay, here we go. So at my detail shop, can I plug my shop?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
please.
Cool. So our shop's called Detail Union. We also have a second location called 405 Motoring, probably like half an hour away from here. We're generally based in Monrovia is where our HQ is at, and we work with Teslas every single day.
Okay.
Whoa.
At one point, we'll have anywhere from 5 to 10 Teslas in our shop sometimes. That's because we're putting on clear rob or ceramic coating or stuff like that, right?
Mm.
Or tinting it. Tinting is super huge on Teslas.
Mm.
would I get one? Heck yeah.
Do you I know that sometimes car people think that like not having like a loud engine and like an exhaust like is kind of like lame, like having all this power but having it be silent. Does that bother you at all? Would you feel like you're not quite doing the car thing you like if you were to get one?
It's not necessarily no sound or no engine or no shifting. It's that everybody and their grandma has one.
So they're a little too common now.
Yeah, they're super common. They're like the new Honda Civic. Or new Corolla. Unfortunately to say, I mean, granted, they start at like 35 grand, but
not anymore. 45.
Oh, is it 45?
Yeah,
the standard range went up, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Here's a shot of vodka.
Yeah.
One shot.
What kind?
Tito's.
Okay.
Cheetos.
You can get some better,
Cheetos.
but
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Grey Goose. How about Grey Goose?
Okay, Grey Goose.
The Kirkland brand's better.
I'm
kidding. I don't know anything.
Kirkland.
A one shot
Yeah.
for $10,000.
It's only one shot of vodka, but like at the same time, like who knows who's watching?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows exactly? And he's watching always. He's always in.
And he's chanting. He's peer pressuring.
Chug it.
Yeah.
Chug,
if it's
chug.
him giving it to me, I'm gonna have to turn it down ASAP.
Okay. Test.
I would say.
What if it's Ben Affleck?
I'd be like, Ben, just take it. I don't need the 10K.
Okay, 100K.
I'm taking it.
No.
No.
$1 million to do one shot of
Off the
Grey
pass.
Goose. You'll pass.
100%.
1 billion, and that way you can like save the world.
The riches on earth will not compare to what we have in heaven. So therefore, I'm gonna have to pass on that.
Have you never had a sip of alcohol?
No, I have.
Oh yeah, but you rejected it at this
Yeah.
point in your life.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend who's done the podcast, Brett Lambach, also Filipino.
Yeah.
He's never had a sip of alcohol in his entire life.
Oh really?
Yeah, never had a sip of alcohol.
Not even a sip?
Never done a single drug.
Wow.
I saw him the other day, and we were all hanging out, and he's been really stressed lately, and he's like, oh, I'm feeling a little weird today. We're like, really? Why? He goes, yeah, I don't know. I took some CBD last night. And we were like, what? He's like, yeah, I just like, I've been so stressed, and I just, my friend was just like, you need to like chill out, have some CBD, and he's like, I don't know, I feel all off today from it though. He's like, maybe there's some THC in it. I don't know. And we're like, what? And he goes, April Fools.
Oh, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
His April Fool's to us was that he took CBD.
Yo, 8 points to you, man. That's pretty solid.
Which isn't even like a drug.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how hardcore he is.
Okay, but wait. Honestly,
invested.
I did get a little high from CBD.
Really?
I took a lot of it.
Oh, you took a lot.
A ton of it, and there are traces of THC. But even the smallest amount for me, like, just I think
interesting
screws me up.
Okay, we're gonna give you $1 and a sticker and say, truly, thank you so much for your patience and for sitting down and hanging out with us and being so honest and open about some cool stuff. It was really nice, truly.
Of course.
We
I
really appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You too, man. Have a good sermon.
Thank you.
Yeah, sing on.
Jacob.
I really liked him.
Yeah.
God, but they are just in a cult, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's so strange because you get to a certain point where you're like, I love you and everything you're talking about, but religion is a cult.
You know, it's interesting because you grew up non-religious.
Correct.
I grew up in a Jewish household.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always butted heads, like basically the only thing I've ever butted heads with my parents on was going to Sunday school, was going to temple, going to Hebrew school. I always threw tantrums just because I just something instinctually always knew that it was bullshit and that it was kind of a waste of time, and that as long as I was a good person and didn't do bad stuff, then it doesn't matter. Like, I don't have to worship something.
I'm not even against being religious, and I'm not even against
neither am I.
Doing stuff or not doing stuff because you think it keeps you religiously pure or whatever. I'm fine with all that, but like if God is all powerful and whatever, like, why does he care if you take a shot of vodka?
Yeah, like one shot of vodka would send you to hell.
Right, that seems silly.
'Cause it's not like you're stealing. It's not like you're taking from somebody else. It's offered to, like, it's a thing that exists on the planet you were born on.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. All right, you want to get the pastor?
I'll go
Maybe we'll
find
ask
the
him.
pastor.
We'll ask him. And that's Audible. Listen to the new audio. Listen to the new audio docuseries Funny My Way on Audible.
Hosted by JB Smoove.
Take a deep dive into the life of 6 black comedy icons. Are we on there? What the heck? I thought we did that.
No, but they got Paul Mooney,
Flip Wilson,
Moms Mabley,
Dick Gregory,
Rudy Ray Moore.
And Red Fox, 2Ds, 2Xs.
Hear how these fearless heroes of black comedy broke color lines and made it to the top by doing it their way.
Featuring commentary from Cedric the Entertainer.
D.L. Hewley.
Godfrey.
Margaret Cho.
Dion Cole.
Sandra Bernhard.
And many more. Listen on Audible now. Go to audible.com/funnymyway. Audible.com/funnymyway. I love JB Smoove.
JB's the best. Curb Your Enthusiasm? Are you freaking kidding my ass?
Back to...
We got him. The pastor.
What's your name?
My name is Ken.
Ken. Nice to meet you. I'm Andrew. This is Cole.
Good to meet you
Hello. Good to meet you.
How long have you been involved in this church?
guys. So just a little over 2 years.
Okay,
I've been
cool.
involved here, yeah.
Very
Okay.
nice. Cool.
How long have you been a pastor?
Almost 20.
20.
Almost 20
Oh
years.
my
Wow.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you born into like a religious family?
I was not, actually. My family started going to church when I was maybe like 13 years old, I think.
Okay.
So actually, my parents went to church. My mom and stepdad went to church one Sunday when my siblings and I were at my dad's house, and we came back that Sunday night, and we were doing the whole, like, what'd you do this weekend? And my mom and stepdad proclaimed, oh, we went to church. And we're all like, what? And then they're like, and we're all going next week. We're like,
Whoa.
no, we've got football to watch, thanks.
Okay.
So let's say it's like a science fiction movie, and you're 12-year-old you, and then your future self comes and says, you're going to be a pastor one day. What are you thinking?
I would have thought that's crazy. Yeah, I totally would have thought that was crazy. Back then.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, of course, of course.
Sure.
Okay. So what made them decide at that point in time to start going to church?
To be honest, it was some friends, some neighbors down the street, and it was kind of similar. So we're actually a new church.
Christchurch or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're our neighbors were going to what was a new church in the town that we lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say new, I don't mean like new beliefs. It's the same old historic Christian beliefs, but it's just there wasn't a church there.
Got
So
it,
somebody
got it.
started one.
And then, so you're 13 years old. Were you resistant at first? Were you into it? Like, what was your thought process?
I was probably not that thoughtful about it.
Okay.
Other than I'm like, are we going to get home in time to watch the game? And, the thing that was interesting is I'm the youngest of my siblings. And so there was a group for the teenagers, but I wasn't old enough to go yet. And that was the thing that I was like, yeah, but I want to go.
Yeah.
So it was almost like my desire to go in the first place was because my brother and sister got to go.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's not fair. I want to go to church.
Little kids table
Yeah,
left
yeah,
out.
Kind of, yeah.
And then you started going to that, I would imagine, eventually, the teenager church.
Yeah, in fact, I think they made an exception for me, So there were only like 7 or 8 kids, so it wasn't like a big deal. It was a small church. So.
And then is that when you connected with it more intimately?
I would say probably more later on in high school.
Okay.
I was sort of there. I was at church, and that was like a thing that we did as a family. But it wasn't until I was in high school when I really connected with what I think are the truths of Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to really consider it and think about it myself. So it wasn't just like, here's what my parents have been saying, or here's what the people in the church are saying. It was, what do I actually think about this? And what is it?
Right.
What does it actually mean? And so it was around the time I was about 15, 16, 17, that part of my life where I was like, okay, I'm going to actually really dive into what the Bible has to say and really try and work out, is this true? Mm-hmm. And is this something I would give my life to?
And is it? No, I'm just kidding. And then what makes you go on the path? Like, what is that path look like to becoming a pastor? Was it a straight line, or was it a bit divergent?
For me, it was actually very much a straight line.
Okay.
A lot of my friends who are pastors,
Totally.
it was very divergent.
Yeah.
The experience that they had in life or whatever. A lot of my friends actually kind of went into it reluctantly.
Oh, interesting.
And because, from a Christian perspective, it really is a calling.
Right.
We really look at it like it's a spiritual calling. And so,
right. A lot of responsibility as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, what you're taking on. In fact, the Bible says that, you really shouldn't, it's not necessarily something you should go into lightly or maybe even desire because of the responsibility that you carry as a church leader. So
Right. It's almost like I look at politics. I'm always like, if you want to be the president of the United States, that should automatically be grounds for you to not be president. Like, if you have the brain where you think that you should be the president, no, you can't be president.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because that's how we determine who should be a leader in our church.
Oh, like whoever doesn't want it, kind of?
No, it's people who are already living out the ideal
Right.
of what a leader is, and you identify and you say, hey, you're already
Interesting.
loving people in the way we think the Bible says you should love them. You're already serving in those ways. And so we want to identify you as a leader, not like you put yourself forward and be like, hey, I want to be a leader here.
Right.
If somebody did that, I'd be like, yeah, probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
So were you chosen by your community a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got a whole interesting backstory to how we got here to LA. But yeah, essentially there were a group of people here in LA, and they had been meeting together in Silver Lake, and they tried to get a church going and had some difficulty. And they were like, we're going to give this one last go. If we can find somebody who will be willing to come for no money, we'll raise their own money to do it. And if we can find somebody crazy enough to do that, then we'll keep going. And strangely enough, that was pretty much what I was looking for.
That was you?
Yeah.
How did they find you? Where were you?
I was in the UK. I was in Liverpool, England.
Oh, wow.
Why?
And I was pastoring over there, and I was...
Got thumbs up from the crew here. Yeah.
There we go.
That was a nice dog. See you guys.
Happy Easter, guys.
Happy Easter.
I guess this is what it's like when you do this outside. I get it now.
Yeah,
Now I get it.
You get
I
it.
get
It's
Yeah.
just talking to people. We're normally
Yeah.
like on like a busy sidewalk, like in downtown LA or something. So
Sure.
it's very chaotic. This is a little more chill, but
Yeah.
that's the vibe. It's
Well,
just
it's a very chill neighborhood.
we love it.
Yeah.
We love it. Okay, so you're in the UK. You're in
the
Liverpool.
UK. Yeah. So I was co-pastor of a church there in the center of Liverpool, and my wife and I, we were just sort of at a crossroads and thought it's probably time for us to go back to the U.S. And after a lot of prayer and asking for wisdom from friends of what we should do,
Sure.
we ended up making the decision we're going to come back to the U.S. So I just started to look for a friend who knows me well. One of those people I was talking to said, hey, you better know what you're going to do because you don't sit around well. And so I just started looking for somewhere where I could get involved.
And how do you do that? Is it like a LinkedIn for Christians, or what is it?
I guess kind of. I mean, just like anything, there's like job boards. And so they put something on a job board. And it was not the most attractive job offer in the world. And they, if they listen to this, they won't be offended.
They know, yeah.
It was like basically there's about 15 of us, and we don't have a pastor, and we don't have any money.
Wow.
But if somebody wants to come and lead us, we'd be grateful. It's kind of like
That's so interesting. And is there anything about those 15 people where they felt like they didn't want to just go to a different church? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why did they want to keep their congregation them and find a new person as opposed to just like, oh, there's a church over there, we'll go there?
That's a great question. I mean, you'd have to ask them directly, but from what they've told me, there was something about the uniqueness of that group of people. Is a pretty diverse group of people. People who, were they not Christians, if they didn't have Jesus in common, they'd never be friends. And they had such a value of that, that I think they thought, no, we really want that. And then I think, it's a challenge to be a Christian in a city like Los Angeles. And I think they had found a community together and said, hey, we want to actually invite more people into this, into what we've created together. So I think that was probably their main reason for wanting to do that.
And then it's grown, no? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, today, Easter, so there's a lot of extra people here today.
Sure.
It's funny that we're doing this outside sitting here, because here's the crazy thing about all of this. I reached out to them and I said, hey, I'm interested, and I was coming to LA for something else, and I was like, I'm going to be in LA, in a few weeks. Do you want to meet? And they said, sure. Come to one of our members' houses, which is 2 blocks that way.
Okay.
2 blocks that way.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I got here early. I was very nervous. And so I was like, I'm going to sit in my rental car, and I'm just going to pray before I go and meet these people who I've never met before. And I'm
Was it a
really
Nissan
nervous.
or?
I think it was a Dodge.
Dodge, okay.
Yeah. It was
Just
one of those.
trying to set the scene a little.
Yeah. It was like a Dodge SUV that the brakes didn't work.
It's one of the best cars to pray in.
It really is. Yeah. Because you might die.
Exactly.
That's the
So
reason.
you need to get close to God as
exactly.
quickly as possible.
Yeah. So this is what's crazy. I did not know this church building was here.
Right.
I sat literally on that street corner right there
Praying.
in that Dodge,
Whoa.
praying, and then I drove around the corner to the house of the people who were in the church, and that's when I met them for the first time, and that's when I was like, I really clicked with these people. And fast forward to January of 2021, we were, able to gather together, but outdoors, and we were looking for somewhere to gather, and somebody put me in touch with one of the members of the church who owned the building here.
Right.
And they invited us to come and set up in their parking lot.
Wow.
And so just this weird
because of COVID, you were like,
and there's this weird geographical connection
right
to the whole thing. And now, God's done this amazing thing. We've merged with that church. So this is now our church building.
So is Christchurch your thing, or was the existing thing?
It's what we were planning to start out of that. So, and the funny thing is the church that was here had almost the same name as us.
Wow.
And so it was like God was just putting all these little Lego pieces together.
Interesting.
So are you the main pastor at this church now?
Yeah. Yep. So I'm the lead pastor. We have an assistant pastor as well.
How many days are you here?
Right now, we're not here during the week at all because we rent the building out to a school.
Okay, got it.
So I'm usually in here on Fridays, and then I'll just work from home or meet up with people out in cafes and stuff like that.
Well, I gotta say, as someone who, I don't personally go to church, I don't know much about church, but I was looking up churches to go to for us to set up today, and the website looked nice, and there was like pictures of people hanging out outside, and it looked like kind, nice people, and I was like, that's where we got to go. And so this is like just yesterday, we were looking up online, and we were like, okay, let's try it here. And you've been very welcome.
Lived up to that?
You truly have. You've been very welcoming, and we appreciate you chatting with us and sharing your story. It's been really nice.
And then I have a few last questions. So the last guest, he was talking about like temptations and alcohol. And drugs and stuff like that, and like being pulled and like denying it and stuff. I'm assuming you hold those same values of like, don't get drunk and don't get wasted and stuff like that.
I mean, having not heard what he said, I don't know if I want to commit.
Oh, sure. Okay. Okay. Sure.
He wouldn't do a shot for $1 billion.
He wouldn't do a shot for $1 billion.
Yeah. That was his perspective, which it's just him.
I would do one for a lot less than that.
Okay. I like that. I
would do one for a lot less than that.
And also, if God himself came to you in human form and said, hey, let's get wasted, you'd get drunk with him or no?
I don't think he would do that.
Okay. That's what he said.
But here's what I would say, that in the New Testament, the Apostle Paul, who wrote the majority of the New Testament, and the majority of the stuff that kind of says, here's how you should live, that kind of thing, he actually says to one of his proteges, hey, make sure you drink a little wine. Okay. You need it for your stomach, and he was going through some really stressful things. And Paul actually says to him, like, don't forget about the joy of life. Okay. Don't forget about the good things that God has given us that we can enjoy. And I don't think Paul's saying get drunk.
Sure.
But I think he's saying, like,
relax.
Yeah, just,
That's what we were talking about earlier. Like, it's just so interesting thinking, like, well, what is the purpose of the stuff that God has put on earth? Like, is everything a trap to try to tempt you? I would like to think not. That seems like not the best version of God to me. Yeah. I would feel like it's more like what you're saying of like, be a good person in every way you can. And if you want to have a glass of wine at the end of a long day, do that as well.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a balance that I feel like is healthy for anyone to live,
Well, I don't know how deep you want to get into theology.
No, I'm interested. I studied religion in college, but I was religion. But I'm not a religious person. But I studied religion, and I'm interested in it.
Yeah, so I assume you probably read some Augustine if you studied religion.
Yes, yeah.
So he has a really interesting idea. So Augustine is a 4th century church father. So he's one of the early Christians. His view on what sin is that all of us are sinful and broken in some way. Every single one of us. And so essentially, what's happening is. He talks about sin as being something like limbs to our souls, that to have them cut off, it's utterly painful. And so, the idea that he's getting at is that actually we're not capable of living without sin unless that's cut off. We're just not capable. And so the sort of biblical understanding of sin is that every single human being has sin. We're not capable on our own of living perfectly. You have to have that cut off. You have to have that done in a way. And then that's where the Christian gospel comes in to say, yeah, you can't overcome your sin on your own. That's not possible. And so what God has done in Jesus is God removes that sin. And so Jesus, the Bible says, he who had no sin became sin in order that we might become the righteousness of God.
Got it.
And so it's like this great exchange between our sin and Jesus' righteousness. And so, you can kind of think about, the difference between legalism and license. And we have a temptation of going either direction. So legalism is like, I have to do everything perfect or God will not love me. Or license is, I can do whatever I want and God won't care.
But
the truth is actually down in the middle. It's down in the middle.
I agree.
you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were kind of thinking of. Just like, well, what, you know, if you're living your life in a way that is like you're drinking all the time and you're detrimental to everyone in your life and you're making people around you miserable, like that's bad. But if you have one drink of wine, why is that, like, why does God care about that? And why is that a bad thing? You know, it's just, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not that, this is the amazing thing about God is he cares about absolutely everything. He cares about absolutely everything about you, about me. There's nothing in your life that he is not concerned about, but he wants to extend you grace. He wants to extend you mercy. And he doesn't want you to do that in a legalistic way because that's you getting around your need for the grace and mercy that he gives you. He doesn't want you to do that in a, you know, sort of licensed way, because that just says, you know, oh, I don't care that my sin hurts God. He's going to love me anyway. And so what Christians think and have believed for years and years is that we want to live moral lives, not to get anything from God, but as a response to what God has done for us.
Oh, I like that.
And so, you know, why do I not want to, you know, get drunk all the time, to go back to your original question? Well, it's because that doesn't really fit in line with how God's made and designed me. He wants me to be in my right mind. He wants me to live in a way that I will flourish.
And when you were talking about cutting off the sins, you were saying that's painful.
Yeah.
But through, I was trying to connect that a little bit, through like church and through Christ, like it becomes less painful, or what exactly, like, or it's just a guide of undergoing that process?
The answer is probably yes and no.
Okay.
So I know from my own experience and the experience of others that I've been the pastor to, there are times when you have that sort of sin that becomes a limb to your soul cut off, and that's a joy. You're set free from it. And then there are times where it's really painful and hard because you just centered your whole life around that. So it's the joy that we get of being set free from the control of anything that outweighs, I think, the pain and the cost of losing something.
Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the responsibility of being a pastor and of both leading a congregation and of being like a voice for God? Is that a difficult responsibility?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah,
okay. Every day you kind of wake up and you think, I'm responsible spiritually for these people.
Right. And how do you deal with that?
Pray. And you know, another doctrine of the church is that, you know, biblically speaking, to use biblical language, I'm the shepherd of this church.
Okay.
But the Bible also says that Jesus is the over shepherd. So I'm just an under shepherd. And so there are things that are, you know, quote unquote, above my pay grade that I have to be like, do you know what? Jesus, you're the shepherd of this church. So can you deal with that? Can you help me deal with that? And I think that's the only way to get through some of the things when you think, I actually don't know what to say to this person.
So do you ever say, look, ask Jesus? Like, I can't help it.
Usually I'll say, let's ask him together. Okay. But yeah.
Essentially, you're like, I can't.
Yeah. Go ask your mother.
And then we asked him earlier, do you think God needs someone to lean on, or does God, like, you know how we sometimes go to therapy or we talk to our friends, we need advice, or you talk to God or whatever. Who does God have to help him in times of need, or does he not have times of need?
So there's a doctrine, a Christian doctrine.
Okay, perfect.
That says that God does not have need of anything.
Interesting.
He does not need to be fed. He does not need water. He does not need anything. He is totally and utterly self-sufficient. And so everything that he is in and of himself is sufficient.
Okay.
So he doesn't need me. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need this church building. He doesn't need any of those things.
So why did he create everything then?
Love.
Okay.
So this goes, again, I don't know how doctrinal you want to get, but this goes to the doctrine of the Trinity.
Okay.
Which, can of worms opened. There they are on the table.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We're slurping them up.
So the doctrine of the Trinity is that God has eternally existed in a perfect unity of three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that the three of them have been eternally loving of one another. So this is why God is self-sufficient. He has love in and of himself. And there's a really interesting passage in the book of John where Jesus actually is praying to the Father, and he says to the Father, you have loved me since before creation. So if you ever wanted to know what God was doing before creation, he was a heavenly Father eternally loving his Son in the power of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
That's what God's been doing for all of eternity. So creation is an overflow of that love.
Ooh.
God wants, he created in order that his creation could know and experience the overflow of the love that God the Father has for God the Son through the Holy Spirit, and that God the Son has for the Father, and so on within the Trinity.
Okay.
So that's why creation is here. That's why he did it.
Got it.
That's why in Genesis 1:1, the very first thing that you find out is that God is a Trinity.
Well, we don't want to take you forever, but you are the very interesting guest for us to talk to. One final thought, I guess, is, I don't know. Do you have I have a million questions, but I don't know what to end on. Any words of wisdom? I mean, you've shared so many, but
Yeah, I mean, so you've given me a microphone and an opportunity, so I'll just say it to your listeners that, this, especially if you're in LA, this is a lonely city.
Yeah.
This is a lonely place.
yeah.
Most people, when they meet you, they're out for what you can do for them. And I would say if you're feeling that way, if you feel that burden, walk yourself into a church.
Okay.
Walk yourself into a community of people who will love you for who you are, not what you can give to them.
And are you happy living here? And are you happy with, is your family like it being here?
Oh, we love it. We love
That's
LA.
great.
I feel like I was made for this place.
Well, I'm really happy that your journey led you here.
Yeah.
How long does it take to become a pastor? That's my final question. What's the process?
Oh, gosh. When I lived in England, the questions you don't know the answer to, you'd say, how long is a piece of string?
Okay.
It just depends on your journey. You know?
Is there like a school or what is it?
Yeah. So, there's, graduate school called seminary.
Yes,
a lot of people
yes.
have done that.
Okay.
There are undergraduate degrees you can do. There are different master's degrees you can do. It's also one of those vocations that you don't have to do any formal training
Right.
to be a pastor.
Interesting.
So,
yeah,
it depends
very
on
amorphous.
your journey. Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Ken, fantastic guest. Thank you for sitting with us, chatting with us. Thank you for letting us set up
be on
here.
your property.
We super appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We probably don't want the $1, but we'll give you a sticker.
Yeah, I'll take a sticker.
Okay.
Thanks.
Or can you donate this to the church?
I could. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
want to.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right.
That we want
We'll
to do. That we want to do. We give everyone $1.
Great.
Fantastic. Happy Easter. Enjoy your family. Enjoy. How many kids do you have?
We don't. My wife and I don't have any.
Oh, you don't have any kids?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just asked that because you talk about your family and stuff.
Yeah.
But everyone here at the church is your family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Ken, thank you for sharing your
Thank
time
you.
with
Thank you,
us.
appreciate
we really
it.
appreciate it.
Thanks
It was
a lot.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's interesting to talk to someone like Jacob who is following what they believe to be important, and they're a follower of Christianity. And then there is Ken, who is a pastor who's been doing this his whole life, and it's pretty much his whole life is this. And Jacob is like, you can't ever have a drink of alcohol. And Ken's like, some things happen. Sometimes you have a drink, sometimes you don't. Like, and I'm not saying either one is correct or whatever. It is just interesting, like, the different perspectives on all hierarchies of the church itself and of people who are invested in it and everyone. Like, existence is very confusing. Existentially, nothing really makes sense, and everyone's just trying to figure out their place in it. And whether that's church, whether that's friendship with people, whether that's,
Yeah.
putting your penis on coals as a kid, it's all just different ways of connecting with something and making sense of this thing we call life.
And that's what Easter's all about.
I guess that's what Easter's all about. I enjoyed everyone we chatted with today. If you out there listening or watching are religious or not, I support you in whatever you got to do.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening or watching. Maybe we should start a church. Okay, we might start a church.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I didn't see one fucking bunny today. I'm pissed.
Yeah, we're Christian now. We've said it many times on the show before that we are Christian now. But
We're officially.
I think this time it's going to stick. I mean, haven't gone back since, haven't thought about anything he said since, but I think this time it's going to stick.
Are you religious? I'm not asking you, I'm asking them.
Yeah, let us know. We used to have a fan who was pretty religious and commented a lot about crazy stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And then this fan would email, like, whenever we would talk about religious stuff, this fan would email us, like, pages and pages of stuff about how, like, Mormonism or whatever, or Christianity is actually really cool. And then, like, a year later, she sent us another email. She's like, so, guys, I was definitely in a cult.
That's right.
I'm sorry for emailing you all that. I was just really trapped.
That's right.
I haven't seen their comments in a while. I think they're no longer a fan of our show. But it was really funny that they were like trying to like tell us how cool the religious stuff they were doing was.
Wow. Well,
and then later they were like definitely in a cult.
If you do still watch the show, congrats on getting out.
Yeah, we like you. It wasn't negative about you. It was just funny to be part of your journey. All right.
Oh, our plane's here.
Our ride's here. So yeah, we take a helicopter now.
In a studio environment, you'll find him in. Not these guys, because it's a podcast.
But outside.
If God came to you and said, let's get wasted, bro.